AI agency owners will spend months perfecting their build and cold outreach, but then only take 5 minutes thinking about their pricing, and they wonder why they're broke. And trust me when I say this, I was that guy. I used to just guess on my pricing based on how hard I thought the project was or wasn't going to be. But then I switched to something called incentive match pricing, and I began to actually align my pricing with what the actual project was and required for the client. And then after doing that, I actually 10x my agency revenue in around a month. And let me remind you, these were the exact same builds, same complexity, everything. I just changed the way I actually priced the projects. In this video, I'm going to show you the pricing psychology I call incentive matching that can easily double or triple how much you make per project for your AI agency. Plus, I'm going to actually show you the exact framework I use to price each project so that you never have to guess again whether you're undercharging or overcharging for your service. Along with incentive matching, I'll actually go over why most agency owners think backwards about pricing, as well as some industry standards and benchmarks for what prices you should actually charge and how to find your own price. If you're new here, my name's Tommy Christ. With my agency Arose AI, I've hit multiple 5-figure months in a row, as well as automated well over 400,000 calls with voice AI for all of my clients. And on this channel, I share everything I learned actually building these AI agents and running my own agency. And so let's hop into it. So I put a little slideshow together for you guys. I know this isn't like brain rot, but just, actually focus for this one. This is super important. This is how to price every project perfectly. And so we'll cover why pricing is so important, the 3+1 bonus way you can actually charge your clients. And then we'll cover incentive matching, and I'll fully explain it to you guys. Then I'll show you how to find your price. And finally, we'll learn about how to package and actually pitch your pricing based on sort of what method you use. Now first, let's cover why pricing is so important. Because most people just guess on price, and I did the same exact thing. And that's a massive mistake, because here are all the things pricing impacts. It impacts your close rates. It impacts the quality of clients you actually attract, your sales cycle length and complexity, your hiring capacity, your talent quality, the quality of your actual product that you can afford to provide, how much people respect you. It covers so much. And pricing really is the framing around your entire product. And I made that mistake a lot earlier, thinking that's just what I get in return. But pricing is so much more than just what goes into your bank account in exchange for your goods. And it can actually change how people perceive your actual goods and your service. And so here are the 3 pricing structures plus one more. I add that plus one more because I usually don't recommend it, but there are certain situations where it is useful. And so we have hourly pricing, project-based pricing, monthly pricing, and then usage-based pricing. And usage-based is that extra one that is sort of for edge cases. So going over this, hourly, and a lot of people are against hourly. I'm actually pro hourly in certain circumstances. So I think hourly is great when you're just getting started and you're sort of just getting paid to learn, because you really don't have to worry about scoping projects as much if you're charging hourly. And scoping is one of the more difficult things about running an AI agency if you're not familiar. That's sort of figuring out beforehand what actually goes into a project, what everything you have to do is. And there's a lot of unknowns when you first start. So hourly protects you from that, because as you'll see in project-based, if you charge a certain price at the start and then find out it's way more difficult, it's really hard to go back to the client and say, sorry, it's actually going to be more expensive. So you avoid that with hourly. Hourly is also perfect for like really small fixes or initial work with a client where they don't want to commit, or you don't want to commit to something longer term. Hourly is very hard to scale because you are trading time for money, and clients may hesitate to approve necessary work just because they don't want to charge you those hours. Next is project-based, which is higher profit margins because you get paid for actual results, not time. So project-based is you have, say, an AI receptionist you want to build, and you charge a person $5,000. Now, if you do that in one day, you get the $5,000. If it takes you a year to do it, you get the $5,000. And so that's where you can really get those higher profit margins as you become better and better at building these. It's best for well-defined deliverables, such as like a single AI agent. Again, like hourly, if someone already has an AI agent and they just need some tune-ups, you wouldn't charge project-based on that. But there is the risk of scope creep eating into your profits. And so that's a client sort of adding on work as you're going along. And that wasn't initially agreed in the initial scope, as well as just unexpected things such as, a software changing their API or things becoming more difficult to integrate with. And so, like I mentioned, project-based forces you to scope properly and be really efficient. Next is monthly, which is sort of this predictable recurring revenue. And this is perfect for ongoing optimization or maintenance. It's great for a company that might be pretty big and need multiple agents across multiple departments instead of just like a single AI agent in a product. And monthly requires you actually delivering consistent value every month. Whereas if you were trying to charge monthly for something that should have been project based, the client's just going to cancel the monthly contract because you're not doing anything. They already have everything they need. And then lastly, usage based, which is basically just tracking, if it's an AI voice agent, how many minutes it uses, or if it's an AI automation, how many times it runs, and then charging based on that. Usage based is great because it actually scales with the client's business growth. They're only charged for what they use, and they only pay when they get value. That's the second point I have here. It's perfect for really high volume systems, but the revenue for you can be really unpredictable, and it's huge upfront risk because a lot of these AI agency projects require a ton of work up front, and then it's sort of just maintaining it thereafter. And we'll talk about this when we talk about incentive matching, but it doesn't really align with the actual work you're doing, where you're actually getting paid less when you're doing the most work, setting it up, because you're only getting paid when it's being used. And then once you're done with your work is when you're actually getting paid, which is really sort of funny, and the incentives aren't aligned there. That actually leads us into the art of incentive matching, which is how to always choose the right price and the right method of pricing. So what is incentive matching? In short, incentive matching is aligning your pricing model with both the client's goals and the type of work required to achieve optimal outcomes for everyone. The main idea is just that your pricing structure should naturally encourage the right behaviors and outcomes for both you and your employees, if you have any, and your client. So let's look at some examples and when to use these different methods of pricing. So hourly pricing, like we mentioned, it's great for small tune-ups, quick fixes, if the client wants flexibility, etc. And why it works is that the client pays for exactly what they use, and you get paid for exactly how much time you invest. So for example, a marketing agency calls you and says, our chatbot's acting super weird, like, can you just take a look? And so you don't know if it's a 2-hour fix or a 20-hour rebuild. You're sort of coming in the middle or at the end of a project. And so charging hourly actually protects you from those unknowns while giving them the flexibility to stop if the fix gets too expensive. And it protects you from you not being paid at all for scoping the project and pitching them a project-based price. So that's an example of when hourly pricing would be good. Next is project-based pricing, which is great if there are super well-defined deliverables, such as a single AI agent or maybe 2 or 3, but you know exactly what goes into them. There's a clear start and end point of the project as you're going from they have no AI agent, they've done no work on it, to them having a fully built AI agent. And the client wants predictable costs. So why it works is you're incentivized to be efficient and the client gets a fixed price. And so let's say a law firm wants one AI agent that qualifies leads and books consultations. So super clear scope, clear deliverable that you're giving them, quote them $8,000 for the complete system. And so they get budget certainty, they know exactly how much it's going to cost, and you get incentivized to build as efficiently as possible and move on to the next client. And so that's when project-based pricing is great. Project-based is my most common type of pricing when people come to me and they don't have anything already built and they want something built. Next is monthly pricing, which is actually super slept on. And the type of monthly pricing, don't think of software, think of like agency pricing here, like higher ticket, $2,000 to $8,000 a month. So this is great for ongoing optimization and maintenance, and you wouldn't be charging thousands of dollars for that, but you could charge $500 to $1,000 if you've already built them an agent and you're just maintaining it. And if they want multiple agents across different departments, or if they want some longer term strategic partnership. And so this is great because it's super predictable revenue for you. It's coming in next month, and it's consistent support for the client. You pretty much act as a fractional developer or a fractional development team, tech team for their company. And so let's say a growing SaaS company has 5 AI agents across sales, support, and operations. They all need ongoing tweaks, new integrations, performance monitoring, maybe even need to build them a new AI agent. A $5,000 a month retainer with them gives you predictable income while they get a dedicated AI partner who knows their business inside and out, month after month. There's no turnover. And so now that you know how incentive matching works and when to use what type of pricing, let's look at how to find your price. Now here are Tommy's pricing guidelines. But first, if you already have an agency and you sort of know your prices, you can still use the incentive matching and everything like that with your current prices. This is really for people just beginning their AI agency and they really haven't charged their previous clients, they don't know what price to charge. And so to find your hourly price, I just recommend coming up with the first number that makes you a bit uncomfortable. So for me, just starting out, that was $40 an hour, which sounds really low to me now. But when I was first starting, $40 an hour was about double what any of my friends were making at like their summer jobs or internships, whatever. And so that number made me a bit uncomfortable and sort of proud to say I was making that much. So that's why I recommend for your first hourly price. Now, that could be $40 for you, that could be $100 for you, depending on how experienced you are. And then to find your project-based price, you first have to scope the project, obviously, and then take how many hours you expect that project to be, multiply it by the hourly. So say your hourly is $50, you think the project will take, let's say, 100 hours, so that would be $5,000, and then mark it up by 50 to 200%. That 50 to 200% is obviously extra margin for you, but really what that is some margin for error in that you'll never go under your hourly price or over budget for the project. And so let's say you mark it up by 100%, there you have a $10,000 project. And again, you can figure out that sweet spot for you as you really do more projects, figure out how long they take, and start to grow your agency and its revenue. And then to find your monthly price, just take your expected hours worked per month and then multiply it by your hourly price. Generally, I just keep it at that because monthly is a bit better than hourly because it's sort of like prepaid hours. And you can also mark that up if you want, but you don't have to. Monthly is a lot more feel-based. Again, there's not a full science to any of this. Definitely, my one recommendation is keep upping your price until you hit a point where only about 20% of people are saying yes to your projects, and you should be making a really good amount of money at that point, and you can start to optimize other parts of your agency. And so here are some industry standards if you guys are curious. This is what I've seen people charge. These are ranges I've charged from. So hourly, again, I started at 40. I think 50 to 150, depending on, if you're just starting and how experienced you are, is a good range. Again, if you become, a really top tier agency, you have a ton of leads, feel free to charge more than this. And if you really just need the money or you're scared, feel free to charge under it, but these are general principles. Project-based varies a lot because it's all custom, but I'd say anywhere from 3 to 15 grand are like pretty good projects. I've seen some that are 25, 30, but I wouldn't say those are like the standards. Those are pretty big projects. And then monthly, anywhere from $2,000 to $8,000 a month. I've charged up to $6,000 a month for some clients. And also with the monthly, I like to keep them on 3-month minimum retainers. And so, if you charge someone $6,000 a month, that's $18,000 guaranteed over those 3 months. And then moving on, here are some common mistakes people make with pricing and how to actually avoid them. The most common mistakes I see: underpricing your services. Because these projects take so long, as in a month or 2 months, if you underprice one project and it takes you way too long, that can stunt your agency's growth for those entire 2 months. So definitely make sure you're not underpricing your services, because it's way better to charge too much and someone say no than to charge too little and they say yes. Second is underscoping projects, which means you don't put in the upfront work to fully understand how complicated the build is going to be. You definitely want to make sure you do that if you're charging project-based, because again, this goes with underpricing your services. If you underscope a project and enter into agreement to build something for $3,500 and then it takes you twice as long, your margins are like cut in half. And that's just a really bad situation to be in. Complete nightmare. I actually had that. I made that mistake early on with my agency, and it did really mess me up. So these aren't just mistakes I see, these are mistakes I've made. Chasing small retainers too early. Monthly should really only make sense if you truly do have expertise and you want to be in a long-term partnership with these organizations. It's really not worth going after a retainer under $2,000 a month. And then random number pricing. Obviously, I just give you all the tools you needed to actually base your pricing in science, in fact, in what works. And so don't just come up with numbers anymore. And then not raising rates regularly. You should push the edge of what you think you can charge, because that's how you're able to really grow your agency, hire better people, and actually give people a better product because you have a lot more money to invest in it. So here's how to actually package and pitch your pricing. For hourly, you want to pitch that they have complete flexibility to control costs as you explore the solution. The client only pays for the exact time invested. There's no surprises or overages. It's perfect for diagnostic work, getting in there and actually seeing if it's a viable solution before entering into perhaps a $15,000 project-based contract, or if the scope isn't fully defined yet and they really don't know what they want yet, or if they want to start small and scale up based on what you discover. Next is project-based, which is they get a fixed price for a complete working solution. There's no budget surprises. You're actually incentivized to deliver efficiently, and the client gets results faster. This includes everything needed to get an AI agent live and working, so you obviously won't just quit in the middle of the project. And it's one investment. They get ongoing ROI, and the system will save the client X dollars per month, X hours per month. You definitely, in the pitch, want to figure out how much money it's estimated to save them. For monthly, you position yourself as a dedicated AI team or partner for them for the fraction of a hiring cost of an actual AI tech team. They get ongoing optimization. You ensure the systems always improve and adapt over time, especially because the space is moving so fast. The client will actually get priority access, faster response times, and it's a predictable monthly investment, just as if they were going to hire an employee for continuous AI advancement. And so if you want specific advice on your actual pricing, make sure to sign up for my school community. It'll be the top link down below, and ask me. I respond to everyone, and I also have weekly Q&As every Friday at noon Eastern time. And so thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.